what a great opportunity to have Richard with us here, even tonight. Richard, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Tonight, actually, we are going to be looking at addictions.
Yes.
It's not going to be that long, but I believe the content that is going to be shared within this limited time is going to be very vital to our generation. This is generational. I won't say that it's just international, but I believe it's going to be generational. So you can say hi to our viewers.
Hi, and welcome to our show. My name is Richard Kadoko, a family therapist, specializing especially in family dynamics, parenting the unborn child, and addictions.
And addictions, parenting the unborn child. That one time would seem to be a very nice topic. Someone
Yes,
can be asking there, how can you parent the unborn? All the parenting that you've been hearing has been with the born.
It is a big field now. We have pre and perinatal psychiatry.
Okay.
So it's quite a wide topic, talking about the unborn child.
Talking about the unborn child. I'm looking forward to handling that one time. All right, Richard, today we are going to be looking specifically at a very pertinent issue concerning addictions. In your own words, how do you define an addiction?
An addiction is a compulsive desire to do a certain behavior or do a certain thing repetitively, even when it is harming you and others.
You continue doing
You
it.
continue doing it.
Even if it's harming you all?
And others.
Okay. Okay, from a psychological perspective, what makes it such a powerful compulsion compared to other behaviors? Now, I want us to concentrate specifically on the addiction of gambling. Gambling. How do you define it? Primarily, let us first.
What happens in all addictions, there is a part of your brain, the accumbens, which has gone wrong. I'm trying to put it mildly to avoid all the chemistry. When it is not doing its proper work, then it gives you that compulsiveness to do something. Sort of, it hijacks your brain, and you are compelled to do a certain thing repeatedly.
It's called the accumbens.
Yes, accumbens. The nucleus accumbens.
Nucleus accumbens.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, what happens to such a person is that we are all born, actually created, to relate with God and other people. Now, that attachment, when it goes wrong, something also goes wrong in our brains. But not only in our brains, the whole body, because the chemicals that do emotions are all over your body. When you feel pleasure, it's not in the head, it's all over your body.
Okay.
So the whole body now has wrong chemistry. Now, when attachment figures, primarily mom, dad, or a primary caretaker, is not readily available, and you have what we call insecure attachment, you attach to other things and behaviors to bring yourself to calmness, to give yourself the pleasure.
Okay.
So you are artificially feeding your brain with chemicals that should naturally be there in a population. Now, when we grow up, we start being compelled to do things. Now, in this case, in gambling, I'm risking all. Somebody, one time, gambled his wife. He put her as the stakes and he lost, and they went to pick the wife. She refused and they ended up at police. Now, that would seem very stupid. How could a man who is educated, holding a responsible place, do that? But he has been doing it. People have talked to him, they have prayed for him, but it seems not to work.
Okay.
Now, this is one of the big problems because right now we have no known cure for addictions.
I see.
Why I'm saying that, we can moderate a bit so that you look like you've stopped, or we can exchange one addiction for another. For example, we could get the addiction for gambling and we put it in you going to a gym. You'll go to a gym to get the same
Satisfaction.
Okay, but not do the gambling because it has been harming you for many. So when we exchange addictions, we are not really curing you. One needs to go back to where it begins. What happened that made the brain go wrong, create wrong structures, have the wrong biochemical cascade. Because the accumbens is what does satisfaction in a person. For you to say this is enough, I like this, I don't like this, it's the accumbens. Now, if the accumbens has gone wrong, it can't tell you when it's enough. It wants you to risk for it to get a high. And unfortunately, the brain is funny. When you do something repeatedly, you become tolerant. So that level at which you are doing it ceases to satisfy, and you must go beyond.
Okay.
And that new level also you become tolerant to, and then you must go beyond. If you are drinking alcohol, one beer could be enough. But you end up finding that you have to, now you need two to get the same effect. In 2 weeks or 3, you need 3 bottles. Before you know it, you are taking your credit. Before you know it, you had to add some spirit to the alcohol, to the beer, to make it work for you. We do all these things. This is the external behavior of an addict. But internally, the biochemistry that's being done is different. It is, your brain has been hijacked by the behavior that you're indulging in or the drug that you're using. And you are not able, using your free will, to get out.
You are not able using your free will.
No, you are not. You've been hijacked.
You've been hijacked. So, in most cases, in your own experience, I will ask, this biochemistry we are talking about, primarily happens when?
The structures to go wrong is when the brain is being formed. That is either in the womb, 2-3 years after birth.
Or 2-3 years after birth. So you mean to say there are not those who learn gambling on the way, for example, peer pressure?
Peer pressure can put me into gambling. But if my brain is well, the moment it starts affecting my pocket, I'll stop. This happened in the US, in the Vietnam War. Because of the stress they were going through, they used cocaine. When they came back, those who had both parents loving, caring, who had been there for them, stopped using cocaine. Those who never had continued, in spite of all the treatments available.
Very interesting fact. Interesting. So, okay. In your own opinion, how does then culture, I want us to look at culture now,
Yes.
influence someone into this kind of addiction? Or can it actually?
It actually does. Culturally, African culture, all countries in Africa, we've always had a strong family bond. there's been a cultural norm of marriage and how marriage is handled. That took care of the unborn child so that the child will grow with a proper brain. Now, that has been broken down. We are coming to a nuclear family where it's me, my wife, my children. My grandmother is not part of this family. Once I'm married, I'm not taking advice from anyone. The village is no longer responsible for me. Now, with the pressure of maintaining my home, I have to go to work. During pregnancy, I'm not there to take care, to parent this unborn child. It's the business of my wife. But this is our child. I'm not available. My wife has to go to work. Meanwhile, the baby inside listens to all that goes on outside.
The baby inside
Listens to everything.
At what stage is that baby now you're talking about? Has that baby gained conscience? I'm sorry to ask this, may be
Yes,
some of the
this is
questions
very,
running.
very serious. I would say, personally, from my personal experience, that from the time the woman gets pregnant, the child is conscious. But now it has been proved scientifically that the child is here 4 months before pregnancy.
The child is here.
4 months before pregnancy.
Means science believes in the
in science they are not going to call it the spirit. No. They hesitate to say that. But as a believer, I know I have a spirit. And first and foremost, I'm spirit before I become physical. Before I fall sick in the physical, I fall sick in the spirit. As a believer, that's what I believe. Scientifically, they have ways of moving around it, but they now acknowledge that when the man is making the gametes that are going to become a person, certain information is being inscribed, and that is 4 months before the pregnancy happens. Same happens with the woman. Peak experiences in their life will be encoded epigenetically into their genes. And when they come together, now this is what is funny. I said, personally, I have my own belief. One of my sons told us a story of when I and the mother and another friend of ours were driving a tractor, and I had one of the pedals of the accelerator, and the other friend had the clutch and the brakes, and my wife was seated
in the middle,
controlling
the brakes.
No, she was not controlling it. She was the passenger. She was pregnant. Now, we never talked about that, but my son did tell us how he remembers, and it was weird. How? But now, yes, scientifically they are proved they have memories.
They have memories.
They have memories of the earliest time. And the 9 months in the womb is the most important time of your life. As we prepare to come into this world. That's when we should do the real parenting.
So culture comes in how?
Culture now comes in. For them, they knew and they parented the pregnancy. They had taboos. Taboos which are very difficult to unwind to find out exactly what did they actually mean.
For context, can you give us some of those examples in order to get clear context?
For example, when you're pregnant, the husband is not supposed to go far away from home. He's supposed to stay in the village. He cannot kill. He won't slaughter a cow or whatever, even a chicken. He's not allowed. because he has a child oncoming. He is not allowed to see other women unless they are his wives. He has married them officially in the tradition. He is not allowed to engage in certain conversations. He is not allowed to do certain jobs. He has to work close home because he has to check on his wife. And when he checks on his wife, he has to talk to his child. Explain to the child what is happening in the world, what is expected of him, what the ancestors have done in the lineage where he comes. That is traditionally done. And they've told me that they knew that in Rwanda. When I was in Tanzania, the Maasai say they also know it, they do it. I was in Nigeria, they also say they do it.
In Uganda here?
Uganda, it is there. It was a strong issue, and that's what made the Uganda different from others. But even other tribes, when you talk to them, they tell you they also had it.
Okay.
So those are some of the things. Now they will use like chlorophyll. Now chlorophyll, people think when you use these herbs, squeeze them and bathe them, they think of them in a funny way. Now what they're actually doing, they're using the largest organ that can take in things without taking them through the liver. So you are taking in chlorophyll without first processing it through the liver, but directly to the body when you bathe it and you don't dry yourself. Today, we have to provide you with folic acid tabs because you want to do this other one. But they're doing the same thing. So those were things they put there which are hard to explain scientifically, but when you put your mind to it, then you understand what they were doing. But that's how they parented that child. They made sure he's given all the comfort, all the support for the child to feel secure.
Okay.
And loved.
All right. Thank you. So we've talked about culture.
Yes.
Can we now zero it down to the personal responsibility as a root cause as well?
Now, you can get, your brain can go wrong as you grow. If some disaster happens and you don't have the ability to handle it. For example, if somebody has been raped, it breaks down a lot of structures in the person's brain, and they form, because the brain has to continue, it will form broken structures that will manage this situation. That can also cause addictions. Trauma at that kind of level will change the structures.
Okay.
Now, culturally, all over, they try to safeguard a person's life not to meet such trauma. Today, the safeguards are off. You on your own.
What were some of the safeguards back then? Because
the village setting was such that on a hill like this one, there's one clan. Everyone is ready to gather. They have social gatherings where every full moon. So there is a bond between them. No one will harm the other. But now it's gone. It's gone so badly that you are not sure that you can walk from here 5 miles without finding someone who will want to do harm to you. There's no guarantee.
Okay.
They had the guarantee that you can walk everywhere you go. There's somebody. Actually, this is what I saw when I was young. If I left, say, Mukono, came to Kampala, and misbehaved as a young boy, say 13, 14, any adult would stop me and ask, whose son are you? Why are you doing ABCD? And they would escort me back home because I am their responsibility. Every elder was given respect. And he had a right to reprimand me if I did anything wrong. And he would go back to my parents and tell them, and that was one of the most feared things, for a stranger to walk in your home with you to tell them that I met your son doing ABCD. It was terrifying. Today, who cares?
I see.
So the safeguards are not there anymore. The culture setting has changed. Now we must rethink. If the other one is not there and it is not easy to bring back, what do we do in this setting?
Exactly.
Gambling now has been promoted greatly. It's everywhere. Put on your TV, put on your radio, it is there. Gambling places are everywhere. And they're offering us something that looks very sweet. Free money. Put in 5,000 you get 500 million. Even government has a rota. We are playing with chance. Yes, it is okay when people have got proper brains. But when the structure for the unborn child is broken, the young child that is born, the system is broken. Now this is a country where you can find a child that's born today, tomorrow mom will stay home. The following day she goes back to work. She has no sense that this child is not ready to be left alone. An hour for a baby when the mom is not there is equivalent to a long time. For them, they say it's forever. But you're going to do that every day. And you really don't know the impact on the brain that is forming. Some of these things are frightening.
Very.
Those who know, when they go to hospital, they are delivering a child. They have been talking to the child. I've helped many do that. The child comes, immediately the child comes out. They birth bond mom and the baby, dad and the baby. If they're siblings, they also bond them. Children who have been born like that and that bond has been created, and mom has stayed home to take care of their baby, has suckled them. They don't easily fall sick.
Suckled for how long?
Biblically, 3.5 years.
At least
That is the time Samuel suckled.
3.5 years.
Yeah. Traditionally, most of them say 3 years. Without current pressure, a week, a month.
Are there some detriments to that?
Of course, there. You're creating disease in your child. They'll grow up to be diabetic, have high blood pressure, and many other. Because stress harms them.
Interesting. But there is hope to revert such effects.
Yes, you can.
That brings me to the next question. What makes it, how does it affect the brain so much that it's very hard to let go of an addiction? What happens?
Because that place, the accumbens, has not been formed properly, it is going to make chemicals in a higher amount than should normally be there, and it's not able to regulate itself. When you grow, that is where you start your addictions. Some addictions don't start immediately. It may take time. There's somebody who got addicted to alcohol at 60 years. All along it was okay, until it was sparked by the death of his spouse. Because it was made by the death of a father.
During his unborn stages.
Yes. Now here, when the husband dies, it switches the other thing, and the person is addicted. In 6 months, she was taking 12 bottles of wine.
Let me ask you, if I find myself in the same context, for example, I know perhaps I didn't grow with my parents,
Yes.
and apparently I'm not addicted to anything. How do I safeguard myself so that
I don't go.
in that direction? Because if I'm on the verge
Yes,
of putting to explanation.
that is simple. All we need, actually, should be best done in church today by providing elders. But elders on the biblical basis, not elders by choice.
I know. Elders.
Elders, biblically, because for you to become an elder, you must have your last born as a child who's 13 years. That's when you qualify to be an elder.
When what?
Your last born child has a child, your grandson or granddaughter, who is 13 years old.
Doctor, how do you know that? I'm not read it anywhere. Just assume.
It's in your Bible.
Okay.
Because we are supposed to examine all those people. They must be. Because what goes wrong in me will be seen in my grandchildren.
That's why the Bible says that he should be able to lead well his family. Because if you're not able to instruct your home, how are you able to instruct your
Yes. Because now, for example, my children, their mistakes are hidden. The things I did, the wrong things I did, are not going to show properly in my children. But in my grandchildren, they're going to be amplified. Because now they will be taken. The other ones don't need to be harmed, the grandchildren. Epigenetically, my children are going to pass on a gene now that's going to express itself in that bad behavior. There's less control in the grandchildren. So it will be seen. So when the Bible says, examine the grandchildren, definitely if the grandchildren are all okay, then you know he did his job well with his children. So I don't know how many of us.
My grandchildren are not okay, I don't qualify. What if I didn't have this understanding prior? I didn't have it. But you see, I've come to terms with my Lord. I really want to serve him.
Yes, you want to serve him, but unfortunately, that is his.
You can't become an elder.
That's what he said. Now we are making elders wrongly, and we are perpetuating an evil.
But Richard, aren't you killing personal responsibility? Aren't we all going to be accusing our parents for what we've become?
Actually, it is easy to accuse your parents. Now, unfortunately, God has given each person the ability in pain to recover.
Okay.
There are 2 times you can change your brain. In intense joy and in intense pain. The brain is ready for change. So I can change.
In your own opinion, have people changed? By the way, that was my next question. The ones you dealt with, do they recover fully?
I've had people who have recovered totally.
Time span, or it varies from person to person.
Time span, I'm looking at people whose lives have changed and their children are now better. I'm not looking at short term, I'm looking at the long term. Short term, I'm not sure what I've done is effective. Because if your body has not been able to change the epigenetic effect, then I have not been successful. Gambling is one of those terrible, terrible things because, first of all, you don't think you're harming anybody. But actually, you are getting the resources that should be going elsewhere and you are misdirecting them. A gambler will steal, though they use other words for it. I will misappropriate funds. You send me to go and buy something, and I say, let me first gamble this, then make some profit, then I'll go and buy what if I lose it? Because gamblers, they think in terms of what they are doing. They will not stop.
Okay. I think as we are summarizing, you can help us understand the role of the community. You talked about community.
Community is
community vital in the recovery process.
Community is vital. You can't change in a vacuum. I need people who love me in spite of my faults. People who will